But for people who have no concept of what going to jail is like, what is it like when you first go in there?
The first couple of days are heartbreaking because you're taken completely away from family. There's no interaction with anyone except prisoners or the guards. So you have no idea what to expect as far as going through things with the prisoner or the guards, because it can go either way when you first walk through those prison gates. So it's really, even for the toughest person in the world, it's scary because you just don't know what to expect.
And do you have all of your belongings taken away?
Everything. And I went in with extension braids in my hair. They made me sit in the cell and take every braid out of my hair before I was let into population.
I mean, for somebody like who's a billionaire beforehand, somebody like Diddy, it must be completely shocking.
It's actually, I don't think that MDC is for any human being at all. I mean, I'm not saying that no one belongs, you commit a crime, you have to wait to, your trial and everything else, but I don't think that jail is fit for anyone unless they clean up the conditions.
Lots of prisoners complain about lots of different jails and they say that the conditions are not up to scratch. What, in your opinion, makes the MDC stand out? What makes it worse?
What makes it worse is the food. Mostly everything is stale food, is old food that's donated by other people that they wrap up.
Diddy, once a powerhouse in music, fashion, and entertainment, is now caught in a legal battle that has upended his life. Known for his wealth and influence, he built a massive empire and embodied luxury and success. But after his arrest on September 16, 2024, his image has been shattered. Now he faces serious criminal charges, including allegations of sex trafficking and related offenses.
Mostly everything they have is full of not roaches and the giant cockroaches. You can smell the mold, you can smell the rot, you can smell the jail that it needs to be rebuilt. It needs help. I don't think anyone should be in that particular jail.
There are lots of different people inside that jail. We know that there's a wing that houses high-profile prisoners, R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, now P. Diddy's in there. Are you aware of the high-profile prisoners? Do you have any interaction with them?
I don't have any, and we never had interaction with high-profile prisoners at all.
And one of the main reasons that a lot of people know about the Metropolitan Detention Center was because it made headlines in 2019. And one of the issues they had was keeping their prison population warm. And it gets extremely cold in Brooklyn.
Well, in 2019, something went wrong. They had a power outage. They didn't have any water. They didn't have any lights. They didn't have any heat. And the mayor the city council tried to bring over blankets, and the warden wouldn't accept it. They were banging. My brother called me from a cell phone that was not supposed to be there. And he cried. He said, "Listen, I think I'm going to die in here." So I panicked. I said, "What the hell you mean? You're having problems with a prisoner? Do I have to, call a lawyer or what can I do?" He said, "No, I'm going to freeze to death." I said, "Freeze?" He said, "Yeah, we don't have no water." So I called the news station and made a whole big show. And I went down there and
The accusations against Combs paint a drastically different picture from the confident, successful entrepreneur the public once knew. His career, freedom, and reputation are now on the line. After his arrest, he was taken to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a stark contrast to the luxury he once enjoyed. The sudden shift from wealth and fame to life behind bars is a harsh reality for someone who once seemed unstoppable.
Is now being accused of obstructing justice.
Diddy running the jail, man. He running the spot.
Right. According to you, the inmates are fighting over making his bed.
Yep. Well, really, according to Lisa Evers, I want to give her credit. Lisa Evers does an amazing job covering all things, within the New York metropolitan area. She interviewed an inmate that spent some time at MDC Brooklyn alongside Diddy. And, remember, we're all thinking that Diddy's like in super isolation. He doesn't talk to no inmates. We later find out via even court filings by the government, he does. And this one inmate looked like he's not wrong because he says, hey, listen, Diddy's such a big player in the game in terms of, his power and he's that guy even in jail. Dudes are getting jealous at other dudes based on who made his bed. And I'm like, yo.
So that's a real thing? Yeah. People are actually making his bed?
Yeah.
I thought you were just joking.
Listen, there's an inmate that said it. There's an inmate that said it, that Lisa Evers, who works for Fox 5.
No, I know Lisa.
Yeah.
I've done her show before.
Of course. So
yeah.
That's what that inmate said. And I think some people wanted to call it cap till we realized that, the filing that came out on Friday or Thursday by the government, which is a response to Diddy's new motion for bail, essentially said Diddy is using like 8 other inmates like personal access codes to call everybody he wants.
Exactly.
It's like, add this person to
The MDC, where Combs is being held, has a notorious reputation for its harsh conditions. Inmates call it a hell on earth due to overcrowding, filth, and violence. Life inside is a stark contrast to the luxury he once knew. Reports of rats, poor healthcare, and constant danger reveal the grim reality of the maximum security facility.
Yo, like he's running the jail. So these inmates, I completely believe, and by the way, this is how the government painted it. He's getting them paid directly through what they call these cash processing systems.
Yeah.
So, probably tells his people, send her $1,000. Send his mom, send his girl, cool. And then the inmate in there with him is like, we're going to have your commissary filled. You're going to move around like a king like me. So I get why this is happening. And the only thing I look at is like, why did people believe or think anything otherwise? Like, you think you're going to normalize a billionaire that could have any type? Like, if Diddy walked in a room and this guy's of significant money, power, and even respect, despite whatever happened, and y'all are all in jail, you're not going to be like, bro, he usually don't got to bring his tray over there to throw it away. Nah, I'll do it because I want to be cool with him. I got my people outside. Like, shit, I have a public defender. This guy is spending $2 million a month on lawyers. He could throw me, even if he throws me $2,500. Hey, nobody can touch Diddy in here. Matter of fact, I'm going to act like I could be the most bitch-made dude. Hey, I'm just letting y'all know, anybody want to get to him, y'all got to go through me. I'll take the ass whooping for it. So this kind of sounds normal. However, I think people thought Diddy was done when he got to jail. Like, okay, you're finally a regular person. And they're realizing, Diddy didn't work all them years to get billions just to get locked up, and those billions can't help him, right?
He still Diddy.
Yeah, he still did it. Come on.
Well, I mean, I went through the filings and the reports. So what they say, according, to the feds.
Combs' health is a major concern. MDC is infamous for its filthy conditions, with reports of rats, overflowing trash, and limited hygiene supplies. Such an environment makes it easy for diseases to spread, posing a serious risk to his well-being.
Diddy Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trump reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called hell on earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail.
With limited access to medical care, the health risks at MDC are even more severe. For a celebrity like Combs, who has never faced such harsh conditions, the experience is undoubtedly overwhelming. Losing the control he once had over his life makes this reality even harder to endure.
They told the judge the jail he was being sent to is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy. How's your dad doing?
How's your dad doing?
Family members appeared somber as they arrived at federal court in Manhattan today in another attempt to get out on bail. The judge cited Diddy's history of violent temper and potential intimidation of witnesses as reasons for keeping him behind bars. Diddy's former protege, singer Aubrey O'Day, is celebrating Diddy's downfall today. I feel validated, a win for women all over the world.
Combs has pled not guilty. Those were the only words he uttered in court yesterday.
The risk of infection at MDC is high, with overcrowding making it easy for illnesses to spread. Inmates often struggle to get medical attention, turning minor issues into serious health threats. For Combs, the challenges go beyond physical danger. Constant scrutiny and the harsh environment can take a heavy psychological toll as well.
Combs back in a New York City courtroom, we believe right about now, as he tries to appeal a judge's ruling, which denied him bail and sent him to jail as he awaits trial in the explosive sex trafficking and racketeering case against him. Prosecutors describe a large criminal ring orchestrated by Combs to sexually abuse dozens of women, drugging them, beating them, and recording sexual acts for at least 15 years. The move from the judge to hold the musician mogul in jail before his trial comes as prosecutors argue Combs, his massive wealth, makes him a flight risk. And they're also accusing him of witness tampering, trying to keep both them, witnesses, and his victims silent. Combs' team offered a $50 million bond agreement, with his attorney claiming Combs is, in his words, eminently trustworthy. The judge didn't buy it. It is a stunning fall from the height of pop culture. Combs, however, is pleading not guilty and has denied any wrongdoing. Let's bring in NBC's Chloe Malas for more. And Chloe, there are no phones, no electronics allowed in court.
We actually have breaking news. We have some breaking news right now. According to NBC News, just moments ago, I'm reading off my phone right now, Sean Diddy Combs will not be released. And this is per the district attorney's office. So let me explain and silence my phone and break down what exactly that means, or else my kids will call me during this entire segment. So this basically means, Tom, that now Sean Diddy Combs sits behind bars until this potentially goes to trial. Why do I say potentially? Even though his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, spoke to CNN last night and said that it is very unlikely that he would accept any sort of a plea deal, and we don't even know if a plea deal would even be on the table with these very...
Violence is another major threat at MDC. Inmate fights can escalate quickly, sometimes with deadly consequences. Just months before Combs arrived, two high-profile deaths shook the facility. Uriel White was fatally stabbed in June 2024, and Edwin Cordo died from injuries after a violent fight in July. These incidents highlight the constant danger inside.
Criminal charges of racketeering, transportation when it comes to prostitution and sex trafficking. We do know that this could be potentially a year behind bars. I was talking to NBC's legal analyst and correspondent Laura Jarrett earlier today. And, you know, there's so many motions and, so much discovery to do, as you know, and you've covered things like this, I'm sure, that it takes a while to get ready for a big criminal trial like this when there's so many charges and so many different grand jury subpoenas and things like that. So currently, though, he is in jail. And that's what it is. Everybody asks me the difference between jail and prison. You go to prison after you've been found guilty. Right now, he's in jail, and he's in jail in Brooklyn. And this is one of the main issues that his legal team had, was that this detention center in Brooklyn has seen suicides. It saw somebody get killed over the summer, food contamination, overcrowding, and they listed all of this in their filing to the judge. But clearly, this federal judge was not persuaded, Tom. And so now that's it. He stays behind bars while he waits to have this tried in court.
Well, he is a celebrity. That's an understatement. He is an icon. And what are the chances that he gets any sort of preferential or royal treatment in the jail? Or, given the charges that are so significant and serious against him, is he going to be treated like any other inmate?
Combs' mental health is also suffering. Reports say stress has caused noticeable weight loss, and his appearance has changed. The pressure isn't just from the harsh conditions or violence. It's the fear of what his legal battle could mean for his future. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, has pointed out that the poor food and overall environment at MDC are making things even worse. When facing life-altering charges, every aspect of prison life becomes harder to endure.
Made by Diddy showed that he asked family members to reach out to potential victims and witnesses. Also urged them to create narratives to influence the jury pool. Also encouraged them to make marketing strategies to sway the public opinion. Diddy used the telephone accounts of at least 8 different inmates to avoid monitoring. He paid the inmates to intermediaries in violation of the rules, like you said, and he also was using 3-way calls and getting people on the phone, which is illegal. So basically what they said, the defendant has shown repeatedly, even while in custody, that he will flagrantly and repeatedly flout rules in order to improperly impact the outcome of the case. The defendant has shown, in other words, that he cannot be trusted to abide by rules or conditions. And I guess they actually found a note that inferred that he wants to blackmail victims and witnesses into silence by providing testimony, or into providing testimony that's actually helpful to his defense. So I guess what I'm wondering is, he does realize all this is being taped. You're using someone else's, privileges, but they're watching everything.
Okay.
A 3-way call, it's being recorded.
So my takeaway was much different from that. My takeaway was, I'm going to wait for the government to file the superseding indictment, which we all believe is coming, because right now it looks a little thin. And it looks a little pathetic, I'm going to be honest with you. Because, yes, it's great to make Diddy look like this maniacal mob boss, which, of course he's using the influence of his money. But how many inmates, and Vlad, no names here, how many inmates do you know that do 3-way call? They all do it.
Yeah.
They all do it.
I talk to inmates
and it's always
on cell phones while locked up in Rikers.
Exactly. And
not going to say who.
And no one is saying, yo, Vlad, this is to influence my case. Sometimes they just call me like, yo, what's the word out there, man? Everything good? You're like, yeah, I'm going to come home soon. It's all good. Blah. Sometimes it's never. So that I thought was a little bit thin. Obviously, they're trying to keep him in jail. Him putting money on other people's books. Yeah, he's a rich guy. He wants to have his privileges, right? Now, this whole thing of him trying to blackmail people, and I hate to even, because some people are going to be like, oh, no, he's getting Diddy's back. No, I'm defending someone who is, and this could be anybody, who's locked up and using whatever he can to his advantage to try to get things looking better for himself before he goes to trial.
Yeah, but some of this stuff is illegal. You can't
and everybody does it.
You can't, it doesn't matter if everyone else does it. For everyone else, there'll be a slap on the wrist. Everyone knows this is a big fish. No slaps on the wrist when it comes to Diddy. They're going to prosecute him to the fullest extent.
Combs is facing serious legal challenges with potentially life-changing consequences. The accusations against him suggest he may have been involved in orchestrating situations where women were allegedly coerced into harmful acts, sometimes while drugged. These charges are grave and have put his future at risk, both legally and personally.
Right? When you see, and I don't want to generalize here, but when you do see, let's say, accusations against minors, which we don't see in this indictment. You can sometimes see some of these high-profile alleged criminals maybe put into solitary confinement. Will he be treated like any other inmate while he's in this detention center in Brooklyn? It's sort of left to be seen. I think that over the coming weeks, we'll see what happens and what types of motions that his team files if they feel as though he is under immediate threat or if he gets, beat up in prison or in jail. See, I made that mistake. If he gets beat up in jail or if something like that happens, I guess maybe always things could change. I mean, look at Harvey Weinstein, for example. Not that I want to compare the two, but Harvey Weinstein has been been treated in a medical ward because he has all of these medical issues, right? And so the judge had decided even today that he can still stay in the medical ward. So again, I think it's a case-by-case basis, and we have to see how this all plays out. But let's just put it this way. Sean Diddy Combs is a billionaire. He achieved billionaire status in 2022. He is not going to be happy, Tom, being in jail. And this is a far cry from his multi-million-dollar homes all across this country. So obviously it's a huge fall from grace for somebody that was such a pioneer in the music industry.
Yeah, but to your point, Chloe, if it were you or me, not suggesting either one of us would ever face these kinds of charges, but there is no way we'd be out on bail or bond, right? I mean, these are incredibly serious charges that could land him in prison for years and years and years.
The case against Combs is deeply troubling. with multiple women reportedly testifying and evidence that paints a disturbing picture of his alleged actions. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. The weight of this reality is overwhelming, and it's clear Combs is struggling. Reports indicate he had an emotional breakdown at the detention center, showing just how intense the stress is during this incredibly difficult time.
You know, like I said, because you're in prison and you're serving time or you're waiting, to go to court or to go to trial or whatever it is, does not mean that you're not a human being. Just like what's going on with Diddy, he still deserves to be treated as a human being. He still deserves a fair trial, innocent before proven guilty. Whatever happened to that?
So how do you keep yourself entertained throughout the day? What do you do?
Well, I read books. I read books and I daydreamed a lot. Like literally just to keep my head on straight. I prayed a lot.
So we were just hearing from Katana Yehuda about what it's like to stay inside the Metropolitan Detention Center. Andrew Dalek is a New York-based federal public defender, and he's represented lots of clients who've served time there. Andrew, is it really as bad as people say?
Well, first, Anushka, I want to thank you and the BBC for taking an interest in the conditions at MDC Brooklyn. Because it is an important issue of significant public interest. Anybody who has a loved one detained in that facility, that they deeply care about their well-being and their safety there, and they have good reason to. It is as bad of a place as people say it is, but the crux of the issue really is a conflation of, I think, three factors that sort of work together to create a perfect storm. The first is chronic understaffing. So the jail is routinely operating at anywhere from 2/3 to 75% sort of capacity at best at any given point. The second is overcrowdedness, and then the third is a certain bureaucratic intransigence. So there just does not appear to be a meaningful political will to do anything about the situation at MDC Brooklyn, and that's why we're trying to seize upon opportunities like this when it seems like the public takes a particular interest in the conditions there, because there are certain high-profile individuals detained there, and we're happy that's the case, but it shouldn't be that people should care about the conditions of a particular facility because the people who were housed there have are popular or have sort of public stature. Everybody's life is matters equally in this regard, and so it's really important that the public knows what's happening there.
You've seen other jails. What makes this one stand out?
At MDC Brooklyn, which is divided into two separate buildings. There's a west building and there's an east building. What happens, especially in the west building, is that if there's a problem in a particular unit, let's say there's a fight, let's say there's an argument or some sort of a dispute between a staff member and a detainee, the facility's knee-jerk reaction is to lock the whole unit down, and sometimes to lock the whole facility down. So and that's in large part because it's understaffed. If something goes wrong or if something happens, they need to marshal a number of staff members to a particular floor. Well, that means that they necessarily have to lock everything else down. And what do we mean by a lockdown? These lockdowns are akin to solitary confinement. People are relegated to their cells for 23, 24 hours a day for an interminable period of time. They're denied access to showers. They're denied access to hot food. They're denied access to the telephone to speak with their loved ones. It's much more difficult for them to meet with their attorneys in any sort of expeditious fashion.
Combs' public image as a dominant figure in the music world is quickly unraveling. Once celebrated as a visionary in entertainment, he is now facing heavy criticism as the full extent of the charges against him comes to light.
He says he's already privately settled some of the accused. That's after his firm sent out demand letters. Diddy is currently locked up and facing multiple charges, including racketeering and human trafficking. Despite 2 requests to be released, Diddy has been denied bail. His mother, Janice Combs, has spoken out for the first time since this arrest. She released a statement. It reads, "It is heartbreaking to see my son judged not for the truth, but for a narrative created out of lies. My son is not the monster they have painted him to be, and he deserves a chance to tell his side. Joining us to talk about it here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, we have defense attorney and former Harris County prosecutor Vioja Akingbala, Harris County Precinct 1 trafficking director Kathy Griffin-Grignon, and radio personality J Mac from 97.9 The Box. Glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. So, J Mac, when you hear that there could be more people out there, more celebrities,
right,
who are already settling cases quietly, are you surprised? Are you shocked?
That's a smart thing to do. You don't want us in your business. You don't want to be on the Zaya Factor.
On the morning show, right?
On the morning show. And then you heard his mom. She's doing what a mom is supposed to do. If you pay my bills, I would say, hey, that's not the guy I know.
But then again, of course,
This shift in public perception is a harsh reminder that fame and wealth don't shield anyone from the consequences of their actions. It's a wake-up call that has sparked a broader conversation about the darker side of the entertainment industry and the abuse of power that often goes unnoticed.
Mother, what's going on?
Come on, man. His mama know.
Oh,
his mama know.
Trust me. I'm being naive. The naivete is showing tonight.
Your mom is gonna always know what you're doing. You might think she don't know, but she know.
Got it. Vioja, let's talk about some of the celebrities, which no names have been named as of yet, who may have settled these cases. Is that the prudent, smart thing to do?
I think considering that these civil cases are closely tied to the federal case that Diddy's facing, it's certainly a smart thing to do to perhaps try to get your name out of the public eye, get your name away from the specter of the federal investigators, and just try to settle your case privately, assuming that there is some sufficient evidence to believe that these civil attorneys have something on you.
Now, if you are a potential defendant in one of these cases and someone's suing you, would they typically require a non-disclosure agreement to be signed once they settle it with the plaintiff or the victim in this case?
You know, if I was an attorney representing one of these individuals accused, I would certainly request for that before agreeing to any out-of-court settlement. Otherwise, it kind of takes away the point of doing it out of court. It's going to end up being public. I might as well continue to fight the allegations.
And sometimes, Catherine, when you're a victim in human trafficking or sex crimes like this, money can't always satisfy you. And do you foresee any of these individuals, whether it's men or women, coming forward later, even though...
As Combs' trial nears, his future is unclear. The tough conditions at MDC are just one part of the story. What happens in court will determine if he walks free or faces decades in prison. The stakes are high, and the public will be watching closely as the legal battle unfolds. With each passing day, the pressure on Combs continues to mount. Diddy Combs' fall from grace is a powerful reminder of how quickly someone can go from the height of fame to